The non-padded practices have come and gone. The Bears will still work some in moving forward, but the pads have gone on here on Friday. So I wanted to take a look here at some early Bears training camp winners and losers, focusing pre-padded practices, which are really more of an extension of OTAs and minicamp, kind of a more intense minicamp, if you will. So we'll take a look at some guys that have stood out and some guys that maybe have not stood out for whatever reason. Now, some of you know this, some of you don't. I have launched a new YouTube channel here at Chat Sports. It's called 4 Verts, and I would love it if you join me on this journey. It's hosted by me, more of a podcast-style show, NFL content, college football content, covering the league as a whole. Put out a Dak Prescott episode, going to drop a Tua episode soon as well. Going to dive into some college football, so I can't wait to get this ball rolling even more. Goal is to get to 500 subs by Monday. A lot of you guys have subscribed already. We crossed 300 subs. Can we get to 500? If you're a fan of the NFL as a whole, if you're a college football fan, I think this will be a podcast show for you. Link is down below, youtube.com/@4verts. Share it with a friend as well, whether they're a Bears friend of your non-Bears friend. Again, I'm going to talk about all NFL teams, a lot of college football teams. So if you're interested in that, go subscribe. I would appreciate it. Link will be in the comments and in the description. I'll pin it as the comment on today's show. Okay, some early Bears training camp winners. Caleb Williams is number one here. His last non-padded practice on Thursday, not his best one, but wasn't a bad practice. 4 of the 5 practices have been good, though. I think the first 4 practices were really back and forth, really competitive between the offense and defense. He was still really good in 7-on-7 drills on Thursday. Team drills, the defense certainly won the day on Thursday, but I like what I have seen and what I've heard from Caleb Williams up to this point in time. And I think what the reason I feel really comfortable about where he is right now is players and coaches just continue to talk about the type of player he is, the type of person he is, the leadership. The guy's a rookie. He's been on the team for 3 months. Like, this is really good stuff that we are hearing about. This guy is not messing around whatsoever. So I like where Caleb Williams sits right now. Doesn't mean he's going to have a great practice every single day, but certainly a lot of positive signs if you are a Bears fan. And I want to ask you guys, do you feel good about where Caleb Williams is right now? Because I do. Type Y for yes, type in for no, you're not satisfied. I think at this point in time, you got to feel pretty good. So I'm going to type my Y for yes, but let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Next up is Montez Sweat, the defensive end. Grain of salt here. The pads have not gone on yet, but he has been pretty dominant. Like, we've seen a lot of tweets like this early on in training camp. This one coming in from Adam Johns that we will get to here. He says, forgot to tweet this highlight from today. Montez Sweat appeared to have a strip sack against Caleb Williams. He knocked the ball from his grasp. DeMarcus Walker picked up the loose ball. And after the play, Montez had to kind of point himself, hey, my bad. I know I'm not supposed to touch the quarterback. He's just heads on fire, man. He's been in the backfield quite a bit. And no pads, but he looks dominant. And I'm excited to see those battles with Darnell Wright, with Braxton Jones, once the pads go on. But he looks like a guy that makes $24 million per year, which Ryan Poles paid up last year, and that paid off immediately as he helped transform this defense last year. So excited to see his continued development and hopefully dominant play for the Chicago Bears defense in 2024. How about Tyler Scott? We talked about him the other day, but I want to mention him as an early camp winner here. Doesn't mean he's going to push for a starting role. Your top 3 receivers are set, but he's been consistently making plays downfield, and that's a really positive sign in my opinion. I like what we've seen from Tyler Scott so far. And to me, that's what you want him to be this year. You don't need him to master the full route tree. You don't need him to play 50 snaps a game. When you're in the game, be a threat to stretch out the defense. With his speed, with his route running ability downfield as a vertical threat, he can bring that to the table. He is absolutely capable of that. Now, full disclosure, I do want to see him with pads because when Jalen Johnson or Tyreek Stevenson can jab him a little bit and be physical, looks like Scott's put on some weight, but he's kind of a thin, wiry guy. Can he still get those releases at the line of scrimmage and win downfield? He's been doing it without pads on. Let's see if he can do it with pads on. But I like what I've seen so far from Tyler Scott. We'll get to the next one here in just a moment. But first, our sponsor, Rocket Money. Listen, you got to save money. You got to monitor your spending unless you're, a billionaire that I'm unaware of. And maybe we got billionaires watching Chicago Bears now. And if you are, good for you. But listen, I don't know if you're like the common man like I am, but I got to manage my money, man. I got a wife. I got a kid. I got a mortgage. We got to stay on top of our spending, and that's what Rocket Money does. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps you lower your bills, so you can grow your savings. You can set budgets to manage, like, hey, I don't want to spend more than $2,000 this month or whatever that number is for you, and you can help stay on top of that. They will send you updates throughout the month, like, hey, you're X amount of dollars away. This is where you're at. You're on pace to outspend your budget. Stay on top of it with Rocket Money. RocketMoney.com/Bears now to get started and download the app today. You can negotiate bills with Rocket Money to find competitors that can lower your prices on certain bills that you have. So check it out. It's awesome. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. It's been a money saver for my wife and I for over a year now. You could be next. Save over $700 per year like a lot of customers with Rocket Money do. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Tremaine Edmunds is next up. I think a guy who's pretty motivated to have a more consistent year two in this defense, up and down year one. I thought he finished well last year, but was a little slow out of the gates. He seems locked in, making a lot of plays at camp. Had a nice, not goal line, but inside the 10 stop the other day when he deflected a ball intended for Cole Kmet. The coverage skills have been on display. So I like what I've seen from him. Want to see him be more impactful as a run defender this year. So pads going on. We'll see if he's able to do that. If he can elevate his game this year and if TJ Edwards can continue to be steady like he was a year ago, that's a damn good linebacker duo, man. How about Khalil Herbert? A lot of conversation around him. Is he going to be here? Is he a cut or trade candidate? Well, I know one thing. We've heard a lot more about good things Khalil Herbert has done in the first week or so of training camp than Roschon Johnson. Now, that doesn't mean Roschon hasn't done good things, but there's been several reports say, another nice run from Khalil Herbert. We know Khalil Herbert's a good runner. We know he fits this system. Is it enough? Is there a big enough gap between him and Roschon to not even consider moving on from him? Because if it's close, like I've said, I think the Bears would like to see Roschon take more snaps. But if Herbert's a better option, they're trying to win this year, man. They're going to keep him. So far, so good for Khalil Herbert. We'll see where that RB2 battle goes. We'll get to some early camp losers in a moment, but first, camp coverage continues. Hall of Fame game watch party just around the corner. Subscribe, join us. We got you covered here on a daily basis here on Chicago Bears Now. So hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/Bears Now. Early camp losers, Kiran Amegadjie, the offensive lineman out of Yale, just for the fact that he's not ready yet. Matt Eberflus expressed optimism coming out of OTAs and minicamp that he'd be ready to go from his quad injury for training camp, and that has not been the case, and it's unclear what his timetable is at this point. Now, they still remain positive on where he is in his rehab, and I do think kind of the more and more you think about this and look at this, I think the Bears are really looking at this year for him as a true redshirt year. I don't think he's someone they're relying on to play for them. Like, obviously he's not a starter, but I don't even think he's like in their plans as a top backup. So what does that mean? Well, is Larry Borum sticking around as the swing tackle? Is Matt Pryor going to be that guy? So it doesn't mean that can't change, but I just think they're going to take it slow. They're not going to rush him back at this point in time. He's transitioning from Yale, Ivy League to the NFL as it is. So they're going to ease him into this thing, and even when he's cleared, obviously it's going to take a while to get him up to speed at the NFL level. DeAndre Carter, listen, it's early. It's, pads haven't gone on, but we've certainly heard a lot more around Dante Pettis and Velus Jones than DeAndre Carter, and it's just been a little quiet, right? And quiet doesn't mean bad necessarily, but I will say this. He's in the middle of a battle to be a depth receiver on this team. He's in the middle of a battle to be a kick returner or a punt returner on this team, just haven't heard much from Carter. So is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. It just means it doesn't sound like he's flashed much at this point in time. And when they signed him, I felt pretty strongly that he was going to be in good position to make this team. I don't think he's in bad position, but he's going to have to earn it. Bayless has had a good start to camp. Pettis had a strong day and might offer more as a true receiver than a guy like DeAndre Carter does. So it's not a given that Carter's going to make this roster. Do you think he does, though? Will DeAndre Carter make this team? Type M for make or D for doesn't make it. I don't know. He might be on the outside looking in right now. Courtney Cronin on her initial 53-man roster, which we broke down here on the channel. Subscribe, go check it out. She did not have Carter on the team. She had Pettis making it, so that's somewhat notable too. Last one is Noah Sewell, who hasn't practiced a ton. He's been a little banged up. He's been working off to the side on the exercise bike and stuff. Doesn't sound super serious, but as a second-year player who's been missing practice, it's not great. He's not a starter. They don't need him necessarily, but at the same time, I liked the draft pick and I liked his talent coming out of Oregon. Didn't do much last year. He was a decent special teamer, and that's probably his role again this year. But it's somewhat notable that they signed Javen White recently. They have Albert O as well, so they've got other options at the linebacker position. Micah Baskerville is a guy I'm intrigued with. Some other guys like Javen White are in the mix now at that linebacker spot. So, I don't think he's in danger to miss this team. But you want him to develop, right? You want him to potentially, be a starter. Maybe he's your next Jack Sanborn, where maybe he's not a full-time starter, but he's your number 3 linebacker. Right now, I don't think that's the case, and I don't think he's even pushing for that. I guess I'll put it this way. Last year, going into camp, it was like, okay, Jack Sanborn, Noah Sewell, they're going to battle it out for that Sam linebacker spot. That's not even a discussion this year. Like, Sanborn is just clearly the better player at this point in time. All right, appreciate everybody for tuning in to our early Bears camp winners and losers here on today's show. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, subscribe to 4 Verts, my new YouTube channel I mentioned off the top, NFL and college football coverage over there. Trying to get to 500 subscribers by Monday, by the end of this weekend. So appreciate the love and support you've shown me already, and if you want to continue to do so, hit that sub button over there.